Hello humans and future AI overlords. I'm here to talk about Microsoft Loop. I'm not sure if you've heard about it. It's actually been out for a while. It started out with Loop components that's been out for quite some time, and Microsoft has been releasing it in phases. There's now workspaces and pages. This may or may not be activated in your work environment, but it is available to play with personally. So I have actually been exploring it for quite some time. I love the concept of Loop. And what it is componentizing information that you can then embed in email, Teams chat, whiteboard, in lots of different places so that you don't have to context switch between applications all the time. Also, some people use email as their primary collaboration tool. Some people use Teams as their primary collaboration tool. But this new Microsoft Loop product is absolutely amazing. It's another level of collaboration that lets you stay in the flow of your work no matter where you're at with your applications. Now, not every product is Loop enabled in Microsoft 365, but if this goes well, I can envision this happening. But it's in a lot of products today. But we're gonna explore loop.microsoft.com, as you can see here on my screen. You get a getting started workspace as your very first workspace. And you can see here, so it's, you can always hit to come back to the main screen, this Loop logo here, and it's in preview, so kind of set your expectations accordingly. There's the settings, there's the plus here to add a new workspace, and then there's options around searching, so you can search your pages and workspaces. So let's say if I search for AI, it brings up a lot of AI stuff. I'm in the process of migrating a lot of my AI content in a OneNote notebook into Microsoft Loop. I think this is going to be a new and better way for me to manage my information. OneNote is fantastic, but I like trying out these new modern tools. You can click on your favorites and see what you've favorited there. So I favorited my Workspace AI as my Copilot. You can view this as a list, or you can switch it back so you can view it. So basically, you have these controls here to let you switch to list view or grid view. And then you can also look over here at recent components and pages. You can see I've done some stuff this morning. I did have some workspaces set up a couple months ago, but they seem to have disappeared, which was a little bit alarming. So know that this is in preview, so there are limitations here, and that I just kind of want you to be aware. Now, ideas, this is a place where you can create a new page or a new component if you don't want to create it directly inside of a workspace. But let's go ahead and take a look at the getting started workspace. And this is really well done. I mean, when you talk about using a tool to showcase the tool, this is an amazing example. So you can see we still have the Loop icons here. You got if you want to look at notifications, unread. You can do a search in here. You can hide this left navigation if you like. You can see like you're in it. If other people are in it, you can see them as well. You can look at shared. You can copy this. You can copy this workspace or this page as a Loop component and share that in an email or Teams or whatever. So anyway, it's when we look at this, so this is the getting started workspace we're in, and inside here, whoops, I'm going to go back. So I'm going to go back to, let's go to workspace. I'm actually just going to click the go back home. You need to go back home and start over. You just go back here. I'm going to click on the getting started again, and we're back right here to the welcome page of this getting started workspace. So the workspace is called getting started. this page is called Welcome. There's another page, Check the Basics, Get Inspired, Send Feedback, and Next Steps. So in this page, you have a cover. You also can have an icon, and you can customize these. So you can change the cover. You can change the icon if you want to use a different emoji. And then in here, you've got a welcome. You've got a great video on the basics of Microsoft Loop. I highly recommend you check that out. It's an unlisted YouTube video, just so you know. So I'll put a link to it in my YouTube description, so you can get to it directly. But it's a wonderful overview of the basics of Microsoft Loop. So I'm going to click on the next page, check the basics. And you see how it's got a little caret in here where it's got some sub pages. So in the basics page, it's got, it's showing you how in this loop, you've got different types of ways to create components inside here. So when you do a / you can insert different types of components. When you do an app mention, you can connect it to people or files and stuff like that. It's something that you kind of have to do it to get the hang of it, but once you do it, it's kind of amazing. But you can create different kinds of components and lists and stuff like that. So we're going to click on the sub page, create a component, and you can see here, so it says to select the entire list, click this icon to create a loop component, the border will appear outlining the content. So for example here, and I'm going to show you this so you can see like this is that, so this is basically, if I go in here, this is just, right here, this appears to just be a paragraph. Okay, and so so I could convert this text into a loop component if I wanted, or I could, convert this text into a loop component. But if I'm in here and I do /, this brings up the different types of components. So different levels of heading, a table, a checklist, a bulleted list, a numbered list, divider. You can put in, you can put in code. You've got templates, a task list, a voting table, progress tracker. And this is where you mention a specific person. You can put an emoji, a date, a label. You can put in an image, and you can even paste images and stuff in here. And they've even added the ability to connect to other apps and stuff like that if you're using other apps. So if you've ever heard of or used the tool called Notion, this is kind of a lot like that. Just like Teams is a lot like Slack, Microsoft Loop is a lot like Notion. But anyway, it's pretty cool. There is a mobile app for it, and it is it's not in the app stores, and requires you to actually go to this location and join the beta to do it. They've got it for iOS, and I've used it for a while. Even on iPadOS, it finally went to a proper interface for the iPad, a bigger window than just a zoomed-in iOS phone version. And they also have it for Android, which is great. So finally, Android's getting some love from Loop. So those are the sub pages, and you can unclick those, and then you can click Get Inspired. So here is some ideas on how to use Loop, and they've got some really great examples. Making it your team's home location, kicking off a new project, taking meeting notes, team decisions, brainstorming, write a design spec. So I've been using Loop at work for a couple years now, and I've used it to run projects. I've used it to document testing. I've used it as an about page for a Power App. I find it to be just so flexible in the ability to use it. I've got things that I've created in the past. Like I used to create lots of wikis on projects that had like very similar information, which was like hard to keep all that updated. So I created one loop for this project that spanned various teams, and it was so much easier to keep one loop updated than 5 different wikis that were just slightly different because they were connected to different teams. Now the loop is connected to each of the teams, but it's updated for everyone. So anyway, so this is one of those things where you kind of have to try it and explore it and see if you can work it into the way you work. A lot of times, when I'm, trying out some new stuff, I kind of inject it into a process kind of behind the scenes, so it's not so disruptive, and then slowly make it more visible to people. A lot of times, you can do this in ways that don't feel as disruptive, and integrating it into your process, like having a Power App About page for the Power App, linking to a loop that they can get to, where they don't have to think about it. They're just clicking the link and they're looking at the information, and it's got all the relevant content, and they're not thinking about, hey, this is a loop. They're just like, hey, this is information about this tool, or this is information about this process, or this is information, in this team about this project that we're doing. So anyway, there's also a send feedback page. I love the upside down emoji. I use that all the time. But they do have the option to send feedback. There's a help button down here, and there's this give feedback right here. There's a help and learning. There's a what's new. It's very exciting. Loop has been, it's been around for a while, but it's getting a lot more functionality and capabilities. And I'm hoping that my company will embrace workspaces and pages. It's very exciting. And then there's next steps. And I thought this was really cool. So it's like, check out the starter workspace, which was what we've been looking at, this getting started workspace. Go to the workspace overview, create a new workspace, which I have done in the past. I did again today. Haven't invited anyone to my workspace, but I do plan to do that once I kind of get the workspace built up, and then send feedback. So I definitely will send feedback, and I love this. Have fun. And a nice little emoji. And I am having fun with this. This is fantastic. So I'm going to go back to Loop, and then AI is my Copilot. Of course, that's the name of my YouTube channel. So I'm looking at moving a bunch of OneNote content into the Loop with the objective of collaborating with people on this. So anyway, but there are a variety of templates. So when you click in your workspace to add a page or link, when you click new page, you have these templates. So blank page, project brief, team decision, project planning, meeting notes. Those are just a few of them. If you click the template gallery, you can see that there are the options here. Project brief, team decision, project planning, meeting notes, bad idea brainstorm, product wiki, action hero, stand-up meeting, issue tracker. And issue tracker is fantastic. Problem framing, that's pretty cool. And then retrospective. And this one doesn't display here, which is weird. So, but hey, this is still, so anyway, so it did create a page here. And let's see here, I'm just gonna delete that because I don't really need to have that page. But I created each of the different options here. So here's the project brief, and you can see that inside this project brief, I can copy this page as a Loop component and embed this project brief that's in this workspace in an email, in a Teams chat, whatever. So like maybe not everybody needs to see everything from the workspace, or they just need to see different pieces of it, whether it's a component, whether it's a page, or if they need to have access to the entire workspace. You have that level of flexibility, which is really fantastic. And it leverages the same sharing and permissions capability that Microsoft 365 has been using. That's gone through a lot of updates, but it still gives you that ability to limit editing and different, typical permissions that you do in Microsoft 365. So I like this project brief. I've done some project stuff, but when I looked at this template, I was like, wow, I need to update some of my projects because this has got great information in it. Team decision. This is really cool about getting together and making a decision. There's constraints and assumptions, comparing ideas, next steps. Getting people on the same page with a team decision, just feels like it's so hard. You have meetings and so many emails, and it's like, and then sometimes it doesn't feel like you're getting to the right objective. Sometimes it's like, hey, our goal was to do this, and are we doing this still? But anyway, there's a project planning one, and I do love this, roles and assignees, being able to, really clarify what you're doing. I've used tables a lot with outlines for testing and use cases and statuses and completion and feedback. You've got goals. All this is very customizable. Milestones. I kind of thought this was really cool. Team temperature check. So just kind of letting people know, like, hey, where are you at? So this is kind of a voting table, which I think is really, really interesting. That component I've not really used, but I definitely plan to. I think it's really great. Meeting notes. Meeting notes I think is really cool. When you're capturing meeting notes, I'm really excited about the Copilot for Teams that's going to capture the notes, is going to capture commitments, it's going to capture tasks through the Copilot AI capability. So I don't know if, I think over time, a lot of this meeting notes will just be captured by the tool, and you'll just have to revise it. The project manager or whatever will do it more as a revision. I love this bad idea brainstorm. So I think that's really great. And look at this. It has a project started, not started. I just think that's really fantastic. I feel like using these components and pages and workspaces, if it can help you clarify the status of things and make information more accurate, because the goal of this is to be real-time, updated, synchronized data, whether you're viewing it in an Outlook email or viewing it in a Teams chat or whatever. But you notice this right here. There could be things where you've got tasks that are supposed to sync with Planner and to do that haven't synced. So there is a sync now button, and this is something I've noticed recently. But I think it's great. So know that sometimes you may need, because I have noticed when I've created tasks in Loop that update my planner and my to-do, they show up there. Sometimes the dates don't seem to stay in sync, but I have to click the sync now to bring them up to sync. Or sometimes when I'm opening the Loop, like let's say I updated a planner task with a new date, and then I open the Loop and it doesn't show updated, but then I give it a few seconds and it does, sync on its own, or provide the sync now button. So just know that all this stuff is connected, which is really amazing. Wikis, I'm a big fan of Teams wikis, although those have kind of gone away, which is a bummer because they're switching it all over to OneNote. And I guess it's better to have, your strategic tools and stuff like that. But there's a product wiki here, action heroes. So these are just templates, but I think this is a really great way to connect with your team. Stand-up meeting template, scope and update action items. Issue tracker, I've used the issue tracker Loop component. It's fantastic. Problem framing, I just think this is really wonderful because so many times you come across a problem, but how do you articulate it? How do you make it clearer? And I think this is a wonderful template to use for that. When a project's done, how did it go? Maybe documenting that. I do have some loops that are more informational kind of reference, but I do have loops that are project tools that should have a retrospective at the end. Usually they generate some decision making, and that should be included in the loop so that when you go to that loop, you can see not just what was done, but hey, what'd y'all decide? How did this go? What happened with it? And then I created, so these are all the templates that are available inside of Loop. And then there's, I've got links to like Microsoft Loop overview. So this will just open up the link to the Microsoft Loop page, which is cool. And then I've got basically lists with sub items that will, with sub pages that will let me migrate my content from OneNote over to here. So, but these links just link into my tools and stuff like that, which I really like that. And you can link in documents. So when I could link in specific documents from my OneDrive or SharePoint or whatever into here. So it is amazingly powerful. Now, one thing I am really excited about is that Copilot is going to be coming to Microsoft Loop. And that is very exciting. Loop plus AI. And, I'm all about learning about AI. So there's some settings here to enable Copilot. And then you have that ability to utilize the AI for creating brainstorming, blueprint, describe, having that AI help you create your initial loop and then create content for it. I mean, this is truly incredible, and I'm very excited about this. So why I'm talking about Microsoft Loop is that Copilot is coming to Microsoft Loop. And that is very, very exciting. So while I love Microsoft Loop in general, even the early release of just the Copilots, I really like what's happening with Microsoft embedding AI everywhere and making it, augment our capabilities, have it simplify a lot of our tasks, have it jumpstart some of our creation of content and stuff like that, have it connect and integrate and summarize existing content, so you're not recreating stuff again and again and again. So it's very exciting. But thank you for joining me today. Microsoft Loop is in preview. Copilot will come to it soon. It's incredibly exciting. Thank you for joining me today, and see you next time.